Thanks for joining us. Today, I'll be sharing some simple and straightforward ways to grow your business and book more weddings. If you're new to the wedding business, the things I share will set you on the path to success. If you've been in the business for years, you will discover some fresh new ideas. Listen until the end, and you'll even learn a proven strategy that is guaranteed to double your sales in the next 12 months. We have a lot of ground to cover, and I know your time is valuable, so let's dive right in. Let's say that you're sitting in your office, looking at the number of weddings on your calendar and wishing that you had a few more. You continue to advertise, but you don't seem to get the same results as you did in the past. You do great work, but perhaps you're wondering how you can do a better job of getting the word out. Maybe there's a piece or two missing from your marketing puzzle. Then you hear that on Sunday afternoon, a few hundred engaged couples will be gathered down at the corner of 5th and Main. All of these couples will need things for their wedding, and a lot of them are looking to buy exactly what you sell. Will you be sitting home on Sunday, or will you be down at the corner of 5th and Main? Now picture yourself in a room with a group of wedding professionals. The doors open, and within minutes the room is filled with hundreds of people. These people invested a few dollars and a few hours of their precious time to be in this room. Most of these people are newly engaged couples who are planning their weddings, and the others are there to help them with the process. Imagine that each of these engaged couples is carrying around a large bag of money. On the front of the bag is a date, their wedding date, and you know that when that date rolls around, all of the money in their bag will be gone. A lot of this money will be given to the wedding professionals in this room. What's interesting is that these engaged couples have already researched the wedding planning websites. They've looked at the magazines. They've explored Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook. They've seen ads, and they've read reviews. If they've already done all this, why did they still bring their bag of money into this room? The answer is simple. 97% of engaged couples will not make a major purchase decision for their wedding without a face-to-face meeting. When choosing the people they will trust with their big day, they want a connection that they cannot make online. They came to this room to make those connections and spend the money in their bag. Is there any reason why you would not move mountains to be in that room? Of course, the scenes I've described are wedding shows. Some people call them bridal shows, wedding expos, bridal fairs, or wedding planning events. In spite of all of the print and online advertising opportunities, many wedding professionals have found that participation in a wedding show can be a profitable endeavor that allows them to gain new customers and grow their businesses. Most forms of advertising rely on the wedding professional to put their message out there and then wait for the prospective customer to take action. A wedding show is different. A show gives you the opportunity to interact with the engaged couple. They get to taste your cake, smell your flowers. They get to see the true beauty and quality of your photographs. Most importantly, they get to meet you. More than anything, you are selling you. A couple will only buy from you if they like you, if they trust you, and if they feel comfortable with you. Wedding shows are the only advertising vehicle that allows you to do personal, face-to-face selling to hundreds of prospective customers in just a few hours. Your business cannot thrive without a great website and a strong online presence, but pretty much everyone has those things, making it nearly impossible to cut through the clutter and stand out. Participating in a wedding show gives you a competitive advantage over those companies that only advertise online. Given all of these advantages, why would you not want to be part of a wedding show? Over the years, I've heard many reasons, but more often than not, they are one of these 6. Number 1, I've heard that shows don't work. It's true, they don't work for everyone. They don't work for those who don't put in the effort. They don't work for those who aren't comfortable selling in a face-to-face environment. And they don't work for those who don't follow up with the prospective customers they met at the show. Shows do work for those who do them right, and with some preparation and practice, they can work for you. Number 2, brides and grooms are only there for the freebies. Do you really think that someone would drive down to the convention center, pay to park, pay for a ticket, and most importantly, invest their valuable time, all to get a free piece of wedding cake, a t-shirt, or a luggage tag? This observation usually comes from someone who exhibited at a show and saw that their neighbor, who was giving away something, was getting more traffic. It's human nature to like free stuff, but that does not mean that someone would go to a show just to get free stuff. Giving away some sort of sample or promotional item is a proven method of increasing booth traffic and might be something to consider if you can turn that increased traffic into increased business. Number 3, shows cost too much. A show only costs you money if you don't make more money than you spend. Nearly every form of advertising has a cost. Buying ads on wedding websites and in magazines has a monetary cost. Promoting yourself through social media also has a cost because managing your social media presence requires an investment of your valuable time. I'd like you to look at this another way. What is the value that a new customer brings to you over the life of your business relationship? Since most wedding professionals will only work with the couple once, their value is what they spend with you for their wedding. A few lucky businesses will have the chance to do future business with a couple, for example, a retail florist, so that value might be larger and longer term. Let's say that your average sale is $1,500. If you book 4 weddings from a show, that's $6,000 in business that you didn't have. If you invested $1,000 to exhibit at the show, that means that you turned $1,000 into $6,000. You won't find many investments that give you that great of a return. The only forms of advertising that don't cost you anything are referrals and word of mouth. Let's say that every time you do a wedding, you get a referral for 2 more weddings. The more weddings you do, the more referrals you get. Those 4 weddings you booked at the show would then generate 8 more referrals, and those 8 would bring you 16, and so on. That $1,000 investment in the show has turned into tens of thousands of dollars in business. So in the big picture, it really didn't cost you much at all. Number 4, my calendar is already full. The great thing about the wedding business is that you have a brand new pool of prospective customers every year. The bad thing about the wedding business is that you have a brand new pool of prospective customers every year. This means that you can never, ever stop marketing because you have to continually create awareness with these newly engaged couples. Being busy this year does not automatically mean that you'll be busy next year. You can never stop your efforts to bring in tomorrow's customers and keep your momentum going. Number 5, there's too much competition. Some people will say, I don't know if I want to do your show because there are too many other, and then they fill in the blank with their type of business. Yes, your competition will be there. The largest categories in most wedding shows are those things that nearly every couple needs, and those things with the highest price tag. Things such as reception venues, and photographers. The wedding websites list everyone in town. Everybody has a Facebook page, and then there's Google. You have competitors everywhere, and it's impossible to avoid them. I look at wedding shows as a controlled environment. Shows provide the choices couples desire without the overwhelming clutter found everywhere else. Compared to the online resources, you'll be competing against a relatively small number of other companies. The couples at a show will be actively planning their weddings, narrowing down their options, scheduling appointments, and making purchase decisions. Having a display at the show demonstrates that you are actively interested in working with weddings. And if you are not there, chances are you are not even in the running for that business. Wouldn't it be great if you had no competition at a show or anywhere else? That's easy when you do one thing: find your niche. Identify what makes your business different than everyone else. Find something that the consumer is looking for but not finding. Once you determine what makes your business unique, build your entire marketing program, including your wedding show presentation, around that differentiation. And number 6, I'm not prepared. That's the easy one. Putting together an effective display and presentation at a wedding show is not that difficult and does not need to be costly. With the right execution, a wedding show can be a money-making machine for your business. Done incorrectly, shows can be a huge waste of your time. I'm sure you know people who do a lot of shows. Look at how they approach them and learn from their success. You probably also know some people who swear they'll never do a show. My guess is that they did a show sometime in the past, did not do it right, and had minimal results. I'd now like to share the secrets of wedding show success. The first step is to pick the right shows, and they are not created equal. Wedding shows come in all shapes and sizes. They range from intimate boutique shows to large productions at convention centers. Some shows have been around for years, and new shows pop up all the time. Before you invest in a show, do your homework. Look for shows with a successful track record. Is the show well advertised? Is it well attended? Does the show producer truly care about the success of their exhibitors? Call a few of the exhibitors that are listed on the show's website and get their feedback. Ask around the industry and listen to the buzz. Call the venue and make sure that the show is even scheduled to take place. Why? Because wedding shows don't always look like this. Unfortunately, sometimes they look like this. A wedding show booth is like a blank canvas. I want to give you some ideas for turning this canvas into a masterpiece. You have just a couple seconds to capture the attention of the attendee. They should be able to look at your booth and immediately know exactly what you do. It's easy for the intended message to be misunderstood, so don't have things in your booth that are unrelated to your business. If you're not a photographer, don't go overboard with photographs. If you're not a florist, don't decorate your booth with flowers. Here's a nicely designed booth, but do you have any idea what this exhibitor does? In spite of all of the flowers, they aren't a florist. This company has a great name and a booth design that makes it crystal clear that they do floral design. Here's another very nice display that fails because it does not send a clear message as to what is being offered. Here is a simple booth design that works well. You know that they sell wedding cakes. Are you looking for some inspiration for your booth design? Pinterest is a great resource for ideas. One of the best ways to show off what you do is through photos and videos of weddings that you have done. Ask every photographer at every wedding you do to give you pictures. The savvy ones will be happy to do this for free. Build a portfolio of these pictures. Enlarge a couple of the best ones for your office and your wedding show booth. Video footage is even better. Get a nice-sized video monitor and show a loop of the videos during the show. You only need to show a few minutes of your best work. Many companies do things other than weddings, and that's fine as long as you don't show your wedding prospects your non-wedding stuff. Couples love businesses that specialize in weddings. Being a jack of all trades can be a negative, so develop separate marketing materials specifically for the wedding side of your business. Florists are among the worst offenders. This florist promotes weddings and funerals and birthdays and Mother's Day flowers all at the same time. This one markets their wedding business separately. Which one do you think does a better job at weddings? Send your best people, your salespeople. Staff your booth with people you know won't sit down all day with their phone in their hand and sneak out an hour before the show ends. If your company is just you, then enlist the help of a friend or even one or two of your previous customers to help you out. During the show, your booth is your storefront, it's your studio, it's your office. You will be judged by the appearance of your booth and the attitude of your staff. Dress appropriately, stand up, be approachable, convey confidence, and be friendly. Make the prospective customer feel welcome the minute they approach you. Maintain eye contact and smile. Why did this company even bother? They ran out of stuff, so the guy decided to do a crossword puzzle instead. Nothing says, "I want your business," like sitting in your booth and talking on your phone. Be conscious of your body language. Does this guy look like he wants to be there? Don't cross your arms or put your hands in your pockets. Make sure that your posture shows that you are open and friendly. And here is the trifecta of bad booth behavior: sitting down, head buried in a cell phone, and eating at the booth. I told you earlier about the need to send a clear message, and signage can help accomplish that. If you're finding it difficult to show what you do with your display items, say it with signage. By all means, ditch the standard cardboard trade show sign and get something more professional. Here's some examples of nicely done signage. Simple hanging banners or pop-up displays can add to the visual appeal of your booth at a reasonable cost. And don't forget to have some fun. Consider having a drawing to capture leads, a contest to generate interest, or an interactive element to give people a reason to stop at your booth. Don't think for a minute that you should not exhibit at a wedding show if you don't have an over-the-top booth display. It is entirely possible to do something simple that still captures interest and brings you business. I want to show you a few examples of booth designs that really stand out. Some are elaborate, some are simple and inexpensive, but all of them work. On the left is a booth that uses a textured backdrop and some nice decor touches. On the right is a very simple display that is visually appealing. Here's one from a photographer. This one took a lot of effort, but it's likely one of the most captivating booths in the show. These companies repurposed pallets and scrap wood into eye-catching backdrops. These booths were inexpensive to design, but still look nice. And here are a couple more. The key here is to stand out and do something different. At the show, you need to avoid the terrible twos. The terrible twos are arriving too late. Allow plenty of time to set up your display and catch your breath before the show begins. Shows tend to be especially busy at the beginning. If you are still setting up your booth after the show has opened, this will give a sign that you don't plan ahead. Leaving too early. Shows tend to be busier in the early hours. As the end approaches, things slow down, and that's when a lot of exhibitors slack off. It's not the attendees' fault if they arrive late in the day. They deserve the same attention as those who arrive early, and they are still good prospects. In fact, they might be even better prospects since they are likely coming to the show with a specific agenda and are determined to search out just a few things. People will notice if you are attentive at the end while others are packing up. Do you really want the last impression of you to be, will they leave in the middle of my wedding? Too little in your booth. And their company name is Generous Serving. Here's a reception venue. Can't you tell by the flowers? I love this one because according to their sign, they specialize in classy weddings and events. Can't you tell? This company is called Creative Wedding Services. Really? Just as bad as too little in your booth is too much in your booth. Signage is important, but this booth overdoes it just a little bit. Yes, we know that you sell wedding cakes, but you don't need to display every cake you have ever made. This exhibitor took everything that they had in their studio, stood across the aisle, and threw it into their booth. Too many different types of frames, too many different sizes, no signage to identify the company. Avoid the temptation to pack your car with everything you can think of and then wing it at the show. Plan ahead. By laying out your booth in advance, you will know what will fit and what will not. One or two large, compelling display pieces can be much more effective than a bunch of little ones. I believe that you should have at least one image or item in your booth that is unique to your company. You should use your most compelling and unique image across all of your advertising, especially in your post-show follow-up. Better yet, take a picture of your booth with the compelling image or item featured prominently. That way, after the show, the attendee can say, "Oh yes, I remember you. You were the booth with the camo wedding dress, or the bouquet made of apples, or the rings made of donuts, or the mini planter place cards, or the bouquet made of butterflies, or the upside-down wedding cake." You must have something printed that the attendee can take with them. Your promotion piece will go into a bag with many others, and when they get home, they will dump everything out on the table, sort through it, categorize it, read most of it, and throw some of it out. It is important that your promotion piece stands out so it doesn't get thrown out. A lot of what is handed out will be white paper, black ink. Do something different. A lot of wedding professionals constantly preach the pitfalls of DIY. But then those same wedding professionals turn around and take the DIY approach to their advertising, designing their own logo, their own website, their own ads and brochures. If you're going to invest in advertising, you must also make an investment in the look and content of that advertising. Your advertising will generate better results if you have a strong message. A wedding is one of life's most emotional times, but sadly, most wedding advertising is completely lacking in emotion. A wedding dress, beauty, emotion, and then you're going to try to sell one using this? A DJ is not selling speakers and lights. Everyone has that. A DJ is selling fun. Is there anything in this picture that looks like fun? Show what your customer is really buying. People dancing and having a great time. Reception venues typically show pictures of boring, empty rooms. Show what your customer is really buying. A room full of people who are smiling, eating, drinking, dancing, and truly enjoying the day. With every decision, the couple is thinking, is this decision going to ruin our wedding? What if no one dances? What if my dress or tuxedo doesn't fit? What if my pictures are blurry? Show what could go wrong and how that won't happen when they choose you. A dose of fear can make your message much more powerful. And don't be afraid to be a little edgy with your marketing message. Here's an ad from a DJ that captures just that. Book us and you don't have to worry that no one will dance. Here's an ad from a wedding planner that went way out of the box, but it certainly makes a statement. This ad stood out among the sea of boring, unemotional ads. It generated a huge response and lots of new customers. You might want to offer a discount or special offer. We live in an age of Groupon, Living Social, and retailers who offer buy one, get two, or discounts of 30, 50, or 75% off. Even the most affluent consumer has been conditioned to look for deals. The days of we don't discount are gone. You need to build into your price the flexibility to offer some sort of a discount, bonus, or upgrade. Today's consumer expects it. Make it your goal to use as little advertising copy as possible. I suggest that you start by deleting 50% of your ad copy from everything you do. Your website and marketing materials exist only as a means of enticing the prospect to reach out to you. Don't provide too much information up front. Leave some questions unanswered, and that will give the prospect a reason to contact you. And by all means, get rid of your menu. Do you wonder why the first question everyone asks is, how much is it? It's because we encourage this bad behavior every time we give out a confusing array of pricing and packages that is completely lacking in emotion. I like to think of wedding shows as the great equalizer of businesses. Businesses large and small, new and old, home-based or storefront, everyone has the same opportunity for success. It's all in the presentation. The shower curtain backdrop just smacks of cheesy. This booth took a little more effort, but the results are much more impressive. I have a feeling that half of the invitations on this table were taken away by people who thought they were samples. Same type of company, much better presentation. Tents and events? I have one question. Where is the tent? Same type of company, much better presentation. And I love this company name, Great Expectations. Seriously? It's rare that someone will actually sign a contract and give you a deposit right there at the show. But that's okay. Your goal is to take your prospective customer and move them into what's called the smaller room. For you, that means setting an appointment because that's where the deals are closed and the sales are made. You need to take down the contact information from the hottest prospects you meet. Follow up with those hot leads immediately by email, text message, and telephone. The longer you wait, the greater the likelihood that they will become great customers of one of your competitors. How often should you follow up? As long as it takes. Keep following up until they buy from you or until they tell you to stop. Very few wedding professionals follow up at all. Thanks for sticking around. As I come to the end of our time, I'd like to share a simple but very effective way to grow your business. To double it, in fact. A Google search for wedding yields nearly 2 billion results. Wedding magazines have page after page of ads, and the wedding websites have hundreds of vendor listings. Every business has a website and a Facebook page. How are you ever going to cut through this clutter and have any hope of closing a sale? There is only one way. If you can get a prospective customer to meet with you face to face, how often do you close that sale? Half the time? 75% of the time? All the time? Write this down because it's important. Today, Mark McIntosh doubled my business and changed my life forever. If you successfully close the sale with half of the people with whom you meet, you will double your business if you meet with twice as many people. This is important. Let me repeat it. If you successfully close the sale with half of the people with whom you meet, you will double your business by meeting with twice as many people. Pretty simple, don't you think? This approach will require a change to your marketing strategy. Instead of using your advertising to sell your product or service, the focus of all of your advertising should be on selling the face-to-face appointment, because that's where you shine. If you cannot get a prospective customer to meet with you face-to-face, your chances of selling to them are small. There are exceptions, of course, but in most cases, you'll just want to move on to the more serious prospects who will take the time to meet with you. There is no better place than a wedding show to set these appointments. Don't obsess about closing sales at the show. Instead, use the show to sell the appointment. There's a sense of urgency at wedding shows. The attendee wants to see everything. The exhibitor wants to reach as many people as possible. If you concentrate on making appointments rather than spending the time it takes to go through the entire sales process, you will connect with more people and maximize your results. If your average sale is $2,000 and you close half of the customers with whom you meet, every meeting you have will put an average of another $1,000 in your pocket. That would make me want to make appointments. It might also make me want to give the couple an incentive for meeting with me. Take them to lunch, give them a Starbucks gift card, give them a ride in your limo, or let them spend a night in your hotel. Offer them something simply for meeting with you, no strings attached. Will some of the appointments you make at the show ultimately fall through? Absolutely. But by having set an appointment, you now have what you want, a reason to follow up. You're no longer a telephone solicitor. You're someone they met at the show. You have the chance to open a dialogue with the prospective customer and their implicit permission to follow up. When the show ends, that does not mean that the sales process is done. 20% of your success comes from what you do during the show, but 80% comes from the follow-up you do after the show. I know that I have just given you a lot of information in a short period of time, but I hope that I have given you some ideas for making wedding shows work for your business. So choose the best shows, do them well, make lots of appointments, follow up with your leads, and you will maximize your results. Thank you and successful selling.